need you to explain whose clothes these are, Brittany. Right now." My wife's face went pale as I held up the expensive dress shirt with monogrammed cuffs, initials that didn't belong to me. Her mouth opened, then closed. No words came out. That's when I knew for certain that my 7-year marriage was built on lies. Welcome. This is Cheating Fact Real Accounts of Deception and Justice. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. My name is Peter, and I'm a 34-year-old financial analyst at a regional investment firm. I've been sharing true stories of betrayal and the difficult decisions that follow for the past 6 months. What happened to me 11 months ago taught me that the people you trust most are sometimes the ones capable of the deepest deception. This isn't just about infidelity, it's about how workplace boundaries, personal relationships, and professional ethics all collapsed because 2 people put their desires above everything else. Let me back up and give you the full picture. Brittany and I met through mutual friends after college. She was smart, ambitious, beautiful. We had one of those weddings that everyone talked about, mountain venue, 200 guests, perfect weather. She worked as an executive assistant at a corporate law firm downtown, and I worked my way up at Whitmore Investment Group under my mentor, Lawrence Hastings. Lawrence was everything you'd want in a boss. Early 40s, sharp as hell, charismatic in a way that made clients trust him instantly. He was divorced, drove a Mercedes S-Class, wore custom-tailored suits that probably cost more than my monthly salary. He'd fast-tracked my career, brought me into high-level client meetings, recommended me for promotions. I respected him completely. Brittany had met Lawrence a few times at company events. She'd always been impressed by him, his success, his confidence, the way he commanded rooms. I remember feeling proud that my mentor made such a strong impression on my wife. I was an idiot. It was late November when everything started unraveling. I'd been traveling constantly for work, 2 or 3 nights a week in hotels across Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania. The firm was closing major deals, and Lawrence kept assigning me to the most important accounts. I was exhausted but thrilled. My career was exploding. One Wednesday night, a Baltimore client meeting got rescheduled last minute. Instead of staying overnight, I drove the 3 hours home and walked in around 10 p.m. Brittany was already asleep. I went to our bedroom, started getting ready for bed. When I opened the closet to hang up my suit jacket, something caught my eye. Behind my winter coats, pushed all the way to the back on my side of the closet, were 2 men's dress shirts I'd never seen before. High-end brands, Thomas Pink, expensive fabric, French cuffs. They had monogrammed initials on the sleeves. LCH. I pulled one out, examined it in the light. Medium size. I wore large, sometimes extra large. The tailoring was impeccable. And there was this cologne scent that seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. My brain went through every rational explanation. Christmas gift? Wrong size. Someone left them after a party? We hadn't hosted anyone in months. Dry cleaning error? These were deliberately placed in my closet, not hers. I took photos of everything, the shirts, the monograms, the size tags. Then I put them back exactly where I found them and lay awake next to my sleeping wife, my mind racing. The next few days, I watched Brittany carefully. She seemed completely normal, affectionate, engaged, planning our Thanksgiving trip to her parents. Nothing seemed off. But those initials haunted me. LCH. I kept running them through my head, trying to think of anyone we knew. 4 days later, I was in Lawrence's office reviewing quarterly reports. He stood up to grab a file, and I noticed his cufflinks, elegant silver with engraved initials. Lawrence Charles Hastings. LCH. The room tilted. I must have gone pale because Lawrence asked if I was feeling all right. Fine, I managed. Just tired from all the travel. You've been doing incredible work, Peter, he said, smiling. That Baltimore account wouldn't have closed without you. I'm putting you up for senior analyst at the next review. I nodded, smiled, thanked him, all while my stomach was turning inside out. That weekend, I told Brittany I needed to visit a potential client upstate and would be gone. Saturday night. Complete lie. I checked into a hotel, 20 minutes from our house and spent the evening digging. through everything I could access. Our cell phone records told a damning story. Brittany had been texting a number I didn't recognize constantly, dozens of messages daily, often late at night. I ran it through a reverse lookup service. Lawrence Hastings. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through months of records. The pattern was crystal clear. Whenever I traveled for work, the text frequency exploded. When I was home, it decreased but never stopped. I needed visual proof. On Monday, I told Brittany about the recent break-ins in our neighborhood, which was actually true, and suggested we install security cameras. She agreed immediately and even helped me research systems. I installed cameras at all the entry points. What I didn't tell her was the small, discreet camera I hid inside a decorative bookshelf in our bedroom, angled to capture most of the room, including the closet area. I knew this was ethically grey territory, possibly illegal, but I needed to know the truth. For 10 days, nothing unusual showed up on the footage. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe the texts were innocent. Maybe Lawrence was consulting with Brittany about a surprise for me. Then came December 12th. I had a mandatory all-day conference in Philadelphia. I left at 5:30 a.m., wasn't expected back until after 8 p.m. Around 2 p.m., during a break session, I checked the camera app on my phone. The garage camera showed Brittany's car, but parked down the street, partially hidden by our neighbor's hedge, was a silver Mercedes S-Class. My heart stopped. I opened the bedroom camera feed with trembling hands. They were both there, in my bedroom. The way they moved around each other, casual, comfortable, intimate. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake. This was routine. I sat in that conference hallway downloading the footage to 3 different secure locations, my phone, a cloud account, and a USB drive. My marriage was over. I understood that immediately. But this was bigger than just infidelity. This was my boss, my mentor, the man who controlled my career, sleeping with my wife in my own home while sending me out of town on work assignments. The layers of betrayal were suffocating. I didn't confront anyone immediately. Instead, I spent the next week consulting professionals, a divorce attorney, a therapist to process my emotions, and an employment lawyer to understand my options. The divorce attorney was blunt. With this evidence, you have a strong position. Document everything, multiple copies, and don't reveal your hand until you're ready to move. The employment lawyer was more cautious. What is done violates professional ethics and likely company policy. But think carefully about how you handle this. There will be consequences for everyone, including you. I thought about it constantly. Part of me wanted to disappear, quit my job, divorce quietly, start over somewhere new. But another part, the part that had been systematically betrayed both personally and professionally, wanted accountability. Lawrence had used his position to facilitate this affair. He'd assigned me travel, approved my schedule, advanced my career, all while sleeping with my wife in the home that my career helped pay for. That wasn't just infidelity. That was abuse of power. I scheduled a Friday dinner at home with Brittany. I cook her favorite meal, opened wine, set everything up like a romantic evening. "This is really sweet," she said, smiling across the table. "What's the occasion?" "I wanted to talk about our marriage," I said calmly. "About honesty and trust." Her smile faltered. "Okay." I set my tablet on the table between us. On the screen was a paused video from our bedroom camera, timestamped from 3 days earlier. Lawrence's face was clearly visible. All color drained from Brittany's face. "I need you to be completely honest with me," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "How long has this been going on?" She started crying immediately. Then came the denials. It wasn't what it looked like. It had just started. She didn't mean for it to happen. She still loved me. "Brittany." "How long?" "Maybe 8 months," she whispered through tears. "Peter, I'm so sorry. I never wanted." 8 months. I let that hang in the air. So every time Lawrence sent me out of town for work, every time I stayed late at the office on projects he assigned me, every time I came home exhausted from business trips he approved, you were sleeping with him. In our bed. She was sobbing now, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. Can we fix this? She begged. Can we try counseling? Please, Peter, I love you. No, I said simply, because I'll never trust you again, and because what you did with him has consequences that go beyond this marriage. The following Monday, I requested a meeting with Whitmore, Investment Group's managing partners and HR director. I came prepared with documentation, phone records showing extensive communication between Lawrence and Brittany, the timeline of his visits to my home that corresponded perfectly with my work travel schedule, and evidence suggesting potential misuse of company resources. I didn't show them the bedroom footage. That was private and potentially legally problematic. But I didn't need to. Our firm had strict policies about conduct that could create conflicts of interest, especially for senior partners. Lawrence had been managing my career, assigning my travel, approving my advancement, all while conducting an affair with my wife in my home. The managing partners' faces grew darker as I laid out the evidence. This represents multiple policy violations. The senior partner said after a long silence, conduct unbecoming a partner, conflict of interest in personnel management, and potential misuse of company travel budgets. The firm launched an internal investigation. Within 2 weeks, they determined Lawrence had violated several company policies. He was given a choice: resign immediately with a neutral reference, or face termination proceedings that would become part of his professional record. He resigned. For someone whose entire identity was built on professional reputation, losing his position at a prestigious firm was devastating. I heard through industry contacts that he moved to a smaller firm in another state at significantly reduced salary and status. The divorce was straightforward given the evidence. Brittany's attorney advised her not to contest anything. We sold the house. I couldn't stay there anyway. Not after what had happened in that bedroom. I moved to a different neighborhood, transferred to a different division within the firm, and started rebuilding my life piece by piece. Brittany tried reaching out repeatedly in the following months. Apology letters, texts asking if we could talk, even showing up at my new apartment once. I never responded. There was nothing left to say. It's been almost a year now. The divorce is final. I've been promoted within my new division, and I'm learning to trust again. I've started seeing someone new, slowly, carefully, with honesty and boundaries we both prioritize. Lawrence's career never recovered. In our industry, reputation matters. And while the official story was personal reasons, enough people knew the truth. His prospects remained permanently limited. Brittany is still at her law firm, though she was passed over for a promotion she'd been expecting. Mutual acquaintances tell me she seems isolated, having lost many of the friends we shared. People have asked if I regret how I handled it, if I went too far by involving the firm, if I should have divorced quietly and moved on. Here's what I believe. Lawrence didn't just betray me personally. He abused his professional position, managed my career while sleeping with my wife, and created a situation where I was unknowingly facilitating my own betrayal by traveling for work he assigned. Actions have consequences. Professional boundaries exist for important reasons. When people violate both personal and professional ethics simultaneously, accountability matters. I don't celebrate what happened to them, but I don't apologize for seeking appropriate consequences through proper channels. The evidence was real, the policies violated were clear, and the firm made decisions based on documented facts. If you're watching this and you've discovered evidence of infidelity, especially involving workplace relationships, understand this: you're not crazy. Your instincts are probably correct, and you have options. But be strategic. Document everything. Consult with professionals before making any moves. Protect yourself legally and financially. Betrayal is devastating, but you can survive it with your dignity intact. Sometimes the most powerful response is letting the evidence speak for itself and allowing appropriate institutions to handle the consequences. If this story resonated with you, subscribe and turn on notifications. Share your experiences in the comments. This community supports each other through life's most difficult moments. Remember, the truth may hurt, but living a lie hurts more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.